Hey guys, welcome to Appalachia's Homestead. Patir here with a video for you today on sauerkraut. I wanted to let you know right now that this is going to be a talking video. It's going to be a short talking video because I had promised a video on making sauerkraut and the weather got so bad this week that I got behind on a couple of the tasks on my agenda, and I got to a point where I said, if I don't make this sauerkraut, it's going to go, I'm going to lose all of this. So I just made it. And I'm going to have to tell you that it's my first time in ever making my own homemade sauerkraut, and it was phenomenal. So I'm going to talk to you about this. So this is a little bit of instruction, a little bit of motivation, and to give you a few ideas in terms of making your sauerkraut for the first time. If you look up sauerkraut, it is super simple to make. I think my problem is, number one, I just had never done it. So it's one of those things where you think about or you see and you go, I'm going to do that, and first of all, you don't get to it. Or second of all, maybe I think I was a little intimidated by it. Maybe it's just not going to work out for me. What if I don't like it? And as we have pressed forward in terms of homesteading and moving up here, we're finding out that we just dive into things. If things don't work out, if the corn doesn't grow, if the bread doesn't rise, it doesn't mean you don't try it again. You go at it again. That's how you get good at developing skills, which we talk about on many of our videos, which is the key to homesteading, right? So I decided to start growing cabbage. I went to a local Mennonite farm, and they were selling, they sell the seeds galore, but they also had these small plants, a different variety of things, heirloom. That's all they grow is heirloom. And I thought, I'm going to grow some cabbage. We were developing a winter garden this year, so I thought, my husband loves cabbage, I love sauerkraut. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but you won't know till you try. So we developed a winter garden. We planted everything. It was going great. We were very excited. And then cold weather hit in late October, early November. I mean, 17 degrees at the end of October in East Tennessee is not normal. So I was afraid that I had lost everything because we haven't developed a greenhouse or hoop houses just yet. That's coming. So very long story short, a couple weeks ago I went out and I was checking it, and because the weather had warmed back up, everything just came back to life. My greens were coming back, my Swiss chard, and the cabbage was coming on great. So I've made cabbage rolls, which is on my blog and is also, I've talked about on my Facebook page. Wonderful recipe there if you want to go there. So I still had cabbage in the garden, so I pulled them. That's where we lead to sauerkraut. Now, I have been studying sauerkraut, and everybody has different opinions on how to make it. So when I try something out or when I want to make something of my own, what I do is I try to pull 3 or 4 sources together, trusted sources. How do you do it? What do you do? And I get a copy of it, or I watch a video of it, or I read it in a book, or I talk to homesteaders, and I've got a mixture of those, and I finally came up with my own recipe. It's a mixture of this, a mixture of that. If it doesn't work, I'll tweak it. No love lost there. So what I did was I grabbed the remainder of my cabbages, and I had about 6 of them left because I've already used them for several batches of cabbage rolls. And so I brought them into the kitchen, and I went old school. I didn't use a shredder. I didn't use a food processor. I literally washed the cabbage heads, started peeling them back a little bit. I cut just the base of the core out in the bottom, and I just shred them with a knife. And it didn't take very long. It's very easy to cut, and it smelled great. And I actually was surprised and very pleased to find just a couple small red worms in there. So that means my composting and gardening is working out really good. So we dealt with that. So all I did was shred it. No big deal. Just like you would a large iceberg lettuce head or whatever. Just shred it, cut it, cut it, cut it. I'm not picky when it comes to that. The next thing that I did after it was washed and shredded and whatnot is I put it in a large bowl. And it was a very large bowl. This was actually my topper bowl. So I put it in a glass bowl. And what I did then is I added 2 tablespoons of sea salt, which I use sea salt. I use the real deal. If you can get your hands on that, I highly recommend that. 2 tablespoons and 1 teaspoon salt. And I cut up an apple. The recipe that I'm going to post on my Facebook page from, I think it's foodandwine.com, they actually added caraway seeds. Well, I don't have caraway seeds. So sometimes when I'm making a recipe, I'm not going to sweat one small thing. And the reason I didn't with this is because all the other recipes that I had looked at didn't even call for these things. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to add the apple for sweetness, which I find in a lot of German recipes. And then, I'm going to take away the caraway. So there's different methods in making sauerkraut. So back to what I was doing. I just shred it, put it in a bowl, I put the salt on. As soon as you start putting the salt on, it's almost like it automatically wants to start making a brine, which is what you want. I cut up an organic apple. Now, the recipe said not to add the peel. I did. I'm not going to worry about that. So that was all in the large bowl. And what I did, let's see if I can find an apple or something. There's a little bit of apple in that. So what I did is I let that sit in the bowl for over 4 to 5 hours. And I would come in and I would press it and I would squeeze it and then I would, press down another bowl on top of it. You're trying to create this brine is what you're trying to do, which is part of the, starting the fermenting process. So after a couple of hours, I took it out. I already had several quart jars ready to go. I put it into the quart jars. I didn't have enough brine that completely covered it, but it was a great start. And it was amazing because I would come in every 15, 20, 30 minutes and I would work it. And I would go back and we were in the den and I could smell it all the way into the next room. It was fantastic. So what I did is before I went to bed is I came in and I packed the jars and I did have some brine. And what I did is I just put some filtered water in it. It needs to be covered as much as possible to the very top. And then what I also did is I added approximately, I would say half a teaspoon or so of salt. That's going to continue on. Now, I am totally winging this. This is not, I've looked at several recipes. I actually have several recipes here from someone. They printed it off for me. She's a writer, has been a writer for Mother Earth News. I also have talked to one of my best homesteading buddies who can anything. And then I've looked at things online. And like I said, I just pulled together a mixture of these things. So we're going to let these sit for 6 weeks. So what I did is I marked it on top of the lid, the date that I did that, which was yesterday. I've also marked on my calendar Sauerkraut Day. We're really excited. And from that point, we will see how it has done. And we will probably continue on with canning it in a water bath. Now, I believe standard is about 15 minutes maybe. I will probably have to go about 20 because I'm in a higher elevation. So we'll have to look at that closely then. But the main thing is I want to encourage you to try something. A lot of folks look at recipes and look at canning and making things, butter and homesteading ideas, and they're so afraid to try. And I went through that. Like I said, one day I just stepped out on my back porch and I got a swift kick saying you need to start learning skills, and if you don't just start, then you're never going to know. So my attitude is if this doesn't turn out, I'll tweak it the next time. I am going to continue to add cabbage into my gardens this early spring and next fall because we are just having tremendous luck with them, as well as our greens and our Swiss chard and lettuces. They've grown abundantly up here. We're very pleased. So I just want to encourage you to try this. Again, like I said, this will sit in the back of my cool pantry, and they are cool. And I'm going to cover them, keep them dark for about 6 weeks, and then we'll be able to check it from there. So we're really excited. So if you have ideas about how you prepare your sauerkraut, let us know. I know there was a lot of attention when I posted this on my Facebook page. I was a little overwhelmed, excited but overwhelmed, like, oh my gosh, they want sauerkraut. It's good stuff. There's a big movement for fermenting your foods in addition to growing your own. And like I said, these were heirloom, which I will buy some seeds this year. They are heirloom, and I don't use any pesticides of any sort in my garden. We are all natural, fully organic. So, like I said, this is the route that we're choosing to go. I hope this helped you out. If you have any questions, let us know. Be sure to subscribe here. We love hearing from you. Check us out on our Facebook page and give us a like there. We're on Instagram, and now we have a blog. So, we hope you all are doing well in the cold months, and give this a try, and we'll talk to you soon. Y'all take care.